Hey Southside, how's it going? As you can see, we got a little bit of change of scenery. I am here in the kitchen at Southside. Believe it or not, this is actually like my favorite place to hang out at. I'm sure you can't imagine why, but regardless, I like to come down here, spread out books everywhere, and just be able to study in peace and quiet down here. And I'd much rather stand than sit. And so this is fitting. This is just like a perfect, huge desk. But, anyways, we are finishing up our love series this week. Week 3 is our final series. We're going to be looking at the last part of 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And we're going to be looking at what Paul has to say to the Corinthians as his final thoughts about love, or this topic that he's sharing with them. Question: have you ever had something in your life that you loved when you were younger, like elementary school, maybe even kindergarten age, but now that you've gotten older, it's kind of boring, even seems childish? An example is, okay, when I was in preschool, my favorite show to watch was Barney. I know, don't hold it against me. But I used to love to watch Barney. Now that I'm older, I'm thinking, no, don't want to watch Barney. I'd rather watch the Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, something like that. Something that's more entertaining for my age. Well, Paul actually mentions this at the end of chapter 13. He's talking to the Corinthians, remember, and he's talking about love. He's talking about them loving each other. He's talking about them not comparing themselves to each other. And he challenges them by telling them this is what love is and this is what love isn't. Do you have it in your life? And we talked about that last week. But pick up with me at verse 8 of 1 Corinthians 13. It says, "Love never fails, but if there are gifts of prophecy, they will be done away. If there are tongues, they will cease. If there is knowledge, it will be done away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will be done away. When I was a child, I used to speak like a child, think like a child, reason like a child. And when I became a man, I did away with childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, just as I also have been fully known. But now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love." What Paul is talking about here and what's going on here is Paul is closing his argument on love. He was telling the Corinthians, you don't have love for each other. You don't have love for outsiders. You need to fix this. And this is his final thought that he has for them. And his final big picture thought is nothing else matters. Let me explain a little bit. What he's saying is that everything is temporary. He's saying that at the end of the day, yes, you can prophesy. Yes, you can speak many languages. Yes, you make an awesome pastor. Yes, you make an awesome follower of Jesus. But at the end of the day, these things are temporary. And the question remains, did you show love? Did you show love as Jesus showed love? And this is the question that he asks his people. He says, know this, that everything is temporary. These things are going to pass away. Even your spiritual gifts aren't going to matter in the end. When what will matter is, do you have love? Secondly, he says everything will make sense in the end. Remember 2 weeks ago when I told you guys to find people you loved and find people that you didn't really like so well and force yourself to love those people, like take out the trash for them or maybe just say nice things to them? Remember that? Paul says it may not make sense right then when you're doing it, but in the end, it will all make sense. That day when we get to be with Jesus at the end of all of time, every time we've shown love to other people, we'll fully see the effects of it. Think about this. When you give money to a homeless person, or better yet, when you give food to a homeless person and actually fulfill a need for that person, we don't always see the effects of that. We don't always see them going and feeding their families with that money. We don't always go and see what exactly they do with that money. But in the end of time, we will always know. At the end of time, we can look back and say, this is where we've loved. This is how we've loved, the way Jesus told us to do it. And then finally, Paul says love is forever. He says these things pass away, these things are temporary, but love will last forever. More importantly, the love of Jesus will last forever. And that's a promise that we can hold on to, that we can never forget. That the love of Jesus will last forever for us. Check this out. It says, but now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. That word abide, that means it lasts. It keeps going. It's abiding. He says, abide these three, but the greatest of these is love. And so, guys, this week I want us to think about this, and I want us to pray about this and remind ourselves that things in this life are temporary. That's why there's no reason for us to compare ourselves to other people, because the things in this life are temporary. They're going to pass away. Those really cool Nike shoes that are really in style now will be out of style next week. And then years from now, no one will know they even existed. Everything is temporary, but at the end of it all, love will prevail. That's why last week Stephen said that his favorite verse in this was verse 8. Love never fails. It keeps going. It's forever. And so I want you to remember two things out of this. One, everything is temporary, so keep loving because that's what matters. And two, always remember that Jesus' love for you lasts forever. It will never end, and it's unchanging. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys later.